is that like baseball, there's so many like little unwritten rules. Are you familiar with some of the unwritten rules of baseball?
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar, and they're definitely being rewritten right now in this generation of baseball.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always changing as opposed to like in the 70s and 80s as opposed to now. But I want to kind of get your take on a few of like the more popular ones. So retaliate when someone on your team is hit by a pitch. Do you subscribe to that philosophy?
Um, I think if it's intentional, it's obvious intentional, then it's the umpire's job to put warnings on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's no warnings up, then I guess it's fair game. And I mean, baseball players have been around long enough where they could see that coming. And as long as you're not headhunting, then
Yeah.
I get it.
What about don't bunt to break up a no hitter? I'm sure if you were throwing a no hitter and some guy hit a weak bunt, I'm sure that probably wouldn't
Mm.
go over very well.
Yeah, I think the once you're into like the six, just okay. So if it's like 0-0-0-1, maybe. But if it's you're in the sixth or seventh, eighth, ninth inning, then it's your best versus his best. So your bunt is not it's not your best. Try to beat him on a real hit.
What about don't step on the pitcher's mound? How do you feel about that one?
Oh,
Like,
I don't care about that.
okay.
No, that's whatever. I mean, I try not to think about superstitions that much.
Do you remember? I think it was probably 9 years ago now. Alex Rodriguez. I think it was in Oakland where he stepped on the pitcher's mound and Dallas Braden like got into a screaming match with him. He was like, "Don't step on my mound" or something. Do you remember that?
No,
It was
that's what,
it was very funny. And I think after the game, Alex Rodriguez was trying to be a punk about it, and they're like, you hear what Dallas said? Don't step on his mound. And Alex is like, who? And they're like, Dallas Braden. They're like, yeah, exactly. I don't even know who he is. So that was vintage A Rod. That was when he was like embracing the villain.
yeah.
He's certainly gone through quite the makeover.
Oh, he has. He really. I mean, you don't even really remember because now you just hear him talking on what is it, MLB Network?
Yeah, Sunday Night Baseball, I think.
Okay, so now you just hear him. He's just so like nice and
Likeable.
kind of has a high voice. Yeah, he's just super likable.
Yeah,
But
and then
before he was Darth Vader.
you're exactly right. What about this one? So this goes back to the whole old school, new school debate. How do you feel about somebody pimping a homer?
I'm pretty fine with it. I mean,
Even
if you hit a home run, like from a hitter's perspective, if you hit a home run, you're just pimping it because you hit a home run. You don't even care about the pitcher. It doesn't matter. Like if an short A ball pitcher gives up a home run, or if you give up a home run against a major league pitcher, you're gonna pimp the ball no matter what. It doesn't matter. So I personally don't have a problem with it.
does that happen a lot in minor league baseball? Like, do you see like Jose Bautista like bat flips or just like staring at it, like, or is that more of a major league thing? You think?
No, I see some heel clicks. Um, there's definitely bat flips. But there's no like Tim Anderson throw the bat. That's a little aggressive, but yeah, I mean it's definitely there, and it's grown more popular too.
Yeah, that's the one surefire way to get an old school baseball guy fired up is when you see a guy like helicopter a bat off into the side, and they're like, back in
Yeah,
my day, yeah, it's it's so contentious. But you're right. I think it does. It's cool. I don't know if I like there. I feel like it's kind of situational when it comes to pimping a homer. Like if it's like a game tying or game winning, like, oh hell yeah, throw that thing. But if you're down by like 10, like,
yeah. Well, if you're down by 10, so I think there's different levels to it. But like if you get a home run down by 10 and it's a no doubter, I mean you hold your bat and take a few steps, but don't like flip the bat or like celebrate too much because your team's still down.
what about a slow walk around the bases? How do you feel about just admiring it and then just like lightly walking?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Take your time. Get a home run.
I guess you're like, hey man, I can't hit a homer, so the fact that you did, I'm just gonna like I'll admire it with you.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely something that it's really hard to get your people's head around and kind of agree on it, but it's all situational, I think.
I got one more for you. So, all right. So let's say there's a runner on second. How do you feel about trying to catch a peek at what the catcher's putting out with the looking at the catcher's signs?
I mean, that's fair game.
Fair
You
game.
put this, yeah, it's fair game. That's why we have different signs and multiple signs when there's a guy on second. Um, that's just how it is. You have to be prepared for that.
Is that something you guys game plan for? So like if there's a runner on second, like obviously you change the signs up, but like in your mind you just like play it as if they are trying to catch a peek and trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, so my catcher will put down five signs when there's a guy on second, and we have an agreement on which sign is the one that we're actually talking about.